Okay, let's get started. Thank you for being here today. On behalf of Smart Dolphins, I'd like to welcome you to today's session on Microsoft Bookings. My name is Matthew, and I'm the marketing coordinator here at Smart Dolphins. Before handing it over to our trainer, I'd like to quickly share some information on our upcoming public webinars. After today's session, we're going to take a break for the holidays. Then we'll be back on January 9th with data analysis in Excel. And then on January 16th, we're going to cover Microsoft, what's happened, and what's coming. And then on January 23rd, we're going to cover SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams. Please visit our website for more information and to register. I will note some of those are not posted on our website just yet, but they will be posted by the end of the day today. If you have any questions today, please pop them into the Q&A section here in Teams, and we'll tackle them as we go along. We'll also save some time at the end for discussion and Q&A. There is a handout that will be posted in the chat shortly. Please feel free to download that and follow along. I'd now like to introduce our trainer for today's presentation. It's a great pleasure to welcome Jolyn Reen. She is a certified trainer and Microsoft Master Instructor with over 30 years of experience. So without further ado, Jolyn, please take it away.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Matthew, and welcome everybody to our session today. Love this application called Microsoft Bookings, but I think it's kind of a hidden gem. I think it's one of these applications that not everybody is really aware of the fact that we have it and really what the benefits and the efficiencies can be of using this program. So what I'm going to do is go to my Microsoft account online. And from here, I can open up Bookings. Just like you open any of your other Microsoft apps, this will be one of the ways to open it. Now, of course, I'll give you a couple of different options here, but if you just go to your apps launcher, you can find the Bookings icon within your list. It's right here. It's got the big B on it. So I'll go ahead and open up my Bookings. So there's a few things that we're going to walk through today. There is going to, sorry, I have to pick the account I want to go into because I have multiples, but basically we're going to talk about the difference between personal bookings and shared booking pages. So there's kind of two different flavors that we can be using, and I want to make sure that you're comfortable with both of those and talk about the benefits of what each of those are going to offer for you. But before we kind of dive into that, just a little bit about what exactly is bookings. If this is your first time ever hearing about it or seeing it in person. And by the way, I do highly recommend you come into your Bookings app, go to your Microsoft account and open the app so you can kind of follow along with what we're referring to here today. But what can Bookings do for you and what is it? Well, it's a calendaring program. It's a program that the personal bookings page is going to be directly connected to your Outlook. So let's say that you're working with some vendors and you're going to be getting some new quotes for the new year coming up. And you want to be able to schedule meetings back and forth with them. Well, instead of you having to go and ask them, okay, here's my availability, what's your availability? You know, here's the days and times I'm available. I don't know how many times I've done that in the past. Instead, we can share our personal bookings link with them. They can click on a link from an email or however you share the link with them, which we'll talk about how to do that. Once they have the link, they're going to open up and be able to see different options for what they can schedule with you. So if you want to have a half-hour increment meeting, you want to have an hour, you want to have a specific type of meeting that somebody can book with you, whether it's going to be for support, etc. You can set those up ahead of time. Then they can choose the type of booking it is that they want to set with you, what kind of an appointment, and then they can see your availability. They can't see your calendar. They can't see your Outlook calendar. They will only see your available times based on the increment. This will all make more sense once we dive into it and I show you how to set it up. That will all make more sense. But that's kind of an very brief overview as to what is personal bookings page. So that's for you personally. But the shared booking pages that we're going to go into today is you can have different calendars that, let's say that you have an HR department and you want people to be able to book time with HR, different people within HR. People that are going to help them with their insurance questions, people that are going to help them with their other benefits, or people that will help them change their W-2 form, or whatever the case might be. We can have a calendar set up for HR, and they can book time with a specific coworker, with a person, and it will be directly connected to their availability through their Outlook calendar. So that's just a brief explanation as to what exactly this one program can offer. Two different things in one program. But before we kind of dive into how do we set it up and things, I want to go back to show you some best, or I shouldn't say best, but use cases. So these are some examples of how you could set up not your personal, but the shared booking pages. Here's some examples. So if you're in financial services and you want people to be able to schedule time with you, this is a free, because it's already part of your Microsoft 365, this is a free way to be able to do that. So you could send this to your customers, to your clients, and have them set up time for consultation. Banking and insurance services, tax filing questions. If they want to ask, set up a time to talk to whoever that is the specialist on tax filings. Or that HR situation that I was talking about, it could be for candidate interviews, onboarding, benefit assistance, training and seminars. Or in healthcare, it could be for patient visits, provider to provider collaboration, insurance consultations, government and public sector, court hearings and trials, public services, or retail. We can assist with shopping, contractor schedules, design services, or really kind of in general, customer and client meetings. That's what I use it for the most. Tech support, legal reviews, facilities, whatever the case might be. Think about your organization. Do you need to either internally, not as much internal, I guess I probably don't use it. For me, it's more external use, because internal, if they're part of my organization, they'll actually be able to see if I'm available or not. Matthew, did we have a question come through?
Yes, we did. Someone was wondering if you have heard of or used bookings for hot desk booking, office environments where someone isn't assigned a desk but needs to book a space for the day.
I have not.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with that one.
I'm not familiar with that one. We use a similar software called Cadence to book office spaces within our environment. I don't believe there is a way to do that within bookings. Am I correct?
Well,
oh,
technically, we could. And
we could.
It would be a shared bookings page that if you had, let's say that you had 4 offices that people can rent. And they can rent it by the hour, they can rent it for a half day, they can rent it for a full day, whatever the case might be. We could set up a shared booking page that is specifically for this room, this room, this room. Or there's a lot of different ways it could happen. We could have it for your company, for all of the bookings you have, all the rooms you have available, and then they could just pick which room they want and then say, this is how many hours I want to rent it for. The problem with that, this is kind of the backside of this, though, to think about with that scenario, because this is a great way to kind of think about how you could use this. Right now, as of today, changing in the future, you can't bill. So I can't have a connected billing system to say, I want to reserve this and then pay for it. It's coming. It's not implemented yet for everyone.
if you were sharing the office space with other coworkers, you likely wouldn't have to pay anyway. So this would still be a
Right.
viable option for you. So there you
Correct.
go.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. Keep the questions coming. I like that. So anyway, this is just kind of some suggestions of, different ways that we could be utilizing the application. So back to the application itself. How are you going to get this thing set up? And then how are you going to share it so that people can book time with you or people can book through the shared booking pages? Well, first off, when you come in, if you don't have anything set up yet, you're not going to see anything under your personal bookings page or the shared bookings page. I have some things already set up because I do use this. This is definitely a tool I've been using, and I've been using it since it came out. They've made major improvements. So if you were someone that tried it when it first came out, and maybe it wasn't quite what you thought, they've changed it. They've made some improvements to it, so definitely give it a try again. And personal bookings page and shared bookings page are new names. So anyway, they've kind of revised it over the past year or so. But anyway, what you would do to get started, and I'm going to start with the personal booking page. On the right-hand side, you would want to click create new or create meeting type to get all your meeting types set up. So first, before you ever think about sharing it with somebody else, you have to set up personally what kind of meeting time do you need somebody to book with you. So like if I'm going to be setting this up for my customers and my vendors to be, to share this link with them so that they can schedule time with me, I want to think ahead on, what exactly will I need? So are they going to do a consultation for an hour? Do I have consultation for a half an hour? What kind of meetings will they be booking? So we would just click create meeting type. It will take you into a window where it's like a Microsoft form. We just fill in the blanks. So first you have to give it a title. So if I want to put in a half hour consultation, oops, I have to spell things correctly. Half hour consultation, I can put it into a category. And by the way, the category could be related to that room. So if we had room 1, 2, 3, 4, I could say the category is room 1. Because then with your calendar, you could actually view by the category. So something to think about. Otherwise, by the way, these categories are coming from Outlook. These are the same exact categories you use in Outlook, just so you're aware. But I'm not going to put a category to it right now. Where it says book time to connect with me, you could leave whatever text it is that you want to describe what exactly is this half hour consultation. So we could say book a half hour consultation meeting with Jolynn. The location, by default, it is Microsoft Teams. Because this is a Microsoft app, it will use Microsoft Teams meeting. Down underneath the length of the meeting, this one is a half hour, so I'm going to keep it at 30 minutes. And then this will be an important feature, public versus private. Public, these will appear on your booking page. But private, only people with a booking link can view this. So basically, we can have your link be available everywhere. So I could actually embed the link to my bookings, and I'll show you what it looks like in the end, but I could actually embed a link right on my website. So I have a company website, and if I have somebody that wants to do a half-hour free consultation with me to talk about their business needs, I could have that be my description, and I could have it be public because everybody could use it. So just so you kind of think about that, public is what it does by default, and that's most likely what you want. But under the schedule customization, use my regular meeting hours, which means that's going to be coming from, and let me show you what that, let me take you into it. I'm going to click where it says see regular meeting hours. So what this is going to do is take you into Outlook. So this can be important because if you've never done this in Outlook, you need to set this up. So I'm using the new Outlook, by the way. So it's taking me into the settings for my Outlook because this is going to be reading my Outlook calendar availability. So basically, I work Monday through Friday, and I work 8 to 5.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday,
Happy birthday, whoever.
Thank you. Thank you.
So just so you can see here, if you have not ever changed your calendar availability, you need to do that. So this link takes you to Outlook, to the calendar settings, where you can change what time of the day do you start and end every day. So do you work Sundays? Do you work Saturdays? You want to choose the days of the week and the times you work each of those days, because that's what's going to be available to everybody in the bookings. And to take this a step further, we now have the capability of choosing where are you working? Are you working remotely or are you working in the office? You can choose that so your coworkers can actually see an icon. People outside your organization don't see the icon of being remote or in the office, but that can be an important tool to use as well. Once you have this set up, click Save at the bottom right so that is saved for you to use with your Outlook calendar for your coworkers to be able to schedule things with you, or for your outside people using bookings to know what your availability is. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and close Outlook. I don't need my Outlook anymore. So I'm going to close that, and back here in bookings then, use my regular meeting hours is what I want it to do. I could have special hours just for these. So I could click on this drop down, and if I don't want to use my Outlook calendar hours, I could choose use custom availability hours instead, where I can come in right here in bookings and say, just for my bookings, if I start at 8 a.m., maybe I don't want my first meeting to be at 8. Maybe I want it to be custom just for bookings. So I could actually come in and say that I wanted to actually only follow the following date ranges. So I could have a start date and an end date. I could put in that I work from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., whatever your case is, you could customize this as well. Okay? So just so you're aware of the fact that we have this. But I'm going to use my regular hours, but it's important to think about which one is going to be best for you. Which of these options is best for you? Oops, sorry, I clicked on that. That was me. Oops, sorry. I got too many windows open. But anyway, once you're done with that part of it, just so you can see down at the bottom, there's some advanced options. If you extend out the window for the advanced options, you can see that you can put in buffer time. Because basically, if you don't have other meetings and things on your calendar, your Outlook calendar, they could be booking back to back to back to back to back to back appointments with you. If you want to have a buffer time before the meeting, after the meeting, before somebody can schedule the next time frame, you could set that up as well. You could have a minimum lead time. So they can't schedule something with me today. There's a 1-day lead time. So it's not going to show them today's time, but you could say 8 hours, you could say whatever you want. You can customize this to say that there has to be a 2-hour lead time before they can book something with me. It's not going to have today's availability, it will have tomorrow's availability, whatever you choose. Also, send reminder emails to the person booking time with you before the appointment. So if you choose add an email reminder, when do you want that reminder? Do you want it to be an hour before the meeting, half hour before, 2 days before? What kind of time frame do you want? A lot of times for me, I want it a day before. So if I'm going to have a lead time of 1 day, I want to have a day before, because if they need to change it, they're going to be able to do that. They're going to be able to go into their calendar and they can cancel it, or they can go back in and make changes to it. So if they need to reschedule, they can. So anyway, just so you know, you have that available, and you can put in additional information that will go in the message. Okay, here's your reminder, blah, blah, blah. Make sure you save the changes if you set that up. And you have an email follow-up option. I love this. I like having automated features. So give it some thought of what exactly do you want, because these can be important things. Not that you can't come back in and edit, but when you go to set the first one up, this is when you start to realize, oh, I should plan this out before I create all of these and figure things out. So you might want to do some planning, kind of think ahead a little bit, but you don't have to share this until you're comfortable, till you're ready. So don't give it to people until you're absolutely ready to use it. So you could always come back and make changes. But if you wanted to do the, excuse me, if you wanted to add the follow-up email, it's basically the same, where, half an hour after the meeting ends, you could send them an email, whatever the case would be. Okay, so you could set all that up. When you are done, make sure you click save at the top. Make sure you click save at the top. So now, once you start creating all of these, you're going to see these as little cards, as little rectangles, these little cards going across underneath personal booking page. You can always click on the card to reopen it again and make any changes. Make sure you save it again. But just so you can see, when you have it created, you go back in and click on it. Up at the top, you could share just this. You could share you could delete it, because if you don't want this one, you could delete it out, or make sure you click save to save any changes that you have. If I wanted to share this with someone, I don't have to open it. I can do the share icon just by going to the actual card for that meeting type. So I can go to any one of them. They all have share. Also, they each have the ... which is your more menu. So you can click on that. You can copy this. You could share it. You could duplicate it. And by the way, once you figure out one, duplicate it, because then you don't have to do the same things every single time with the next ones. You can just change the name, change the increment, change the description. You don't have to change everything. So if you're going to set one up, it's kind of like a template. Duplicate it. Highly recommend. You can also change it from public to private, or you can delete it from this menu. So of course, anytime you see the ... you know it's a menu. So click on it at the top right of any of these cards once you start creating them. But I did the duplicate because I want to save myself some time and headaches. So once you have the first one set up, duplicate, just make the necessary changes and then make sure you save it. So once you have all that created and you're ready to go, how do you share it with somebody? Well, there's a few different ways that you can actually do that. One way is to go to each individual card, click on the share icon. That will take you into sharing just that meeting option. So if you were talking with somebody, let's say that you had a prospect you were talking to, you're on the phone with them, the actual telephone with them, you could actually copy, I'm going to send you a link to book a half-hour free consultation with me, or whatever the case would be. You can click on this icon for copy to copy this link, and you could email So just so you could see what you get when you go that direction for one individual appointment type, or if you want to save your entire personal bookings page, the entire personal bookings page, you could actually go to the top right, click on that drop down. You could copy a link. So what if you already had an email created for, you were going to reply back to somebody? You could copy a link and then just paste the link directly in your email. You could share it via email, or you could do it an email signature. If you do the email signature, your book with me is going to be part of your Outlook signature. Let me show you an example of what I'm referring to here with that. Let me share my Outlook screen with you. And I'm going to go back into Outlook, email. I'm going to click on a new message. And I have, because I clicked on that option for email signature and I added my booking link to my Outlook signature, it automatically now includes book time to meet with me. That will give them a physical link to get into your bookings calendar. So just so you know that this is an option you could do. So where did that show up? If you go to this share option at the top right here in bookings, I clicked on email signature settings. That will add the book time with me to your default signature. So I'm not going to save my changes because I already have it. But most of the time for me, I'm either going to copy the link or I'm going to click share via email. If you do share via email, you can then put in the address of who you want to send it to, and you would be able to type in a different message or add to this message. And then when you're done, you just click send, and it will send the link for them to get into it. Now, how does that look on their end? Just so you know what it looks like on their end. Let me go back into my Outlook here. Sorry, that was a little slow. And I just sent it to my student one. So I'm going to go into that email account here, and you can see this is what it's going to look like. So, hi student one, book time with me easily. You can now book time with me, blah, blah, blah. It has got all this information on here. I'm just going to click on book a meeting. Book a meeting is going to show you what it's going to look like. This is what my bookings looks like on someone else's end. We have the ability of being able to change this image at the top, and I'll show you how you do that. This image at the top can be whatever you want it to be, but you can see that this says bookings with me and it shows my name, and then it shows my meeting types. So these are all my different meeting types that they can choose from, depending on which one they click on. So right now I'm on this half-hour consultation. If I scroll down, here's my available times. So these are the days that have a half-hour opening. These are the days that have a half-hour opening. But if I choose a full-day training session, the calendar is going to change because I don't have that many hours available on every day. So you can see how that's going to show up then. So if they wanted to book a time with me on the 18th of December, they can click that circle on the calendar, or you can navigate to January, February, etc. And then on the right-hand side, they can choose the time. So if I click 8:30 a.m., I would then click next, and you can see it automatically is going to be sent to Jolene's email. I can put in a note, and then I would click book. So it's automatically going to book that time on Jolene's calendar, on your calendar. So that's what it looks like on somebody else's end. And then it says manage your own bookings page, allows you to go into your bookings page. So if you book time with somebody else because they shared it with you, their bookings page with you, you could go in and manage your own from there. Just so you could see you could do that. But also because this was me, it knows it's me. Up at the top, I can go to my bookings page, and this is going to take me into book with me as well. And by the way, just so you're aware, this is what it looks like for the client, and I can see this at any time. So then I can decide if I need to make changes to it or whatever. So this is what they're going to see. But how did I get here? If you want to just go to this web address, which I gave you a link in your handout for that, I gave you the web address for bookings, and to get into Book With Me is what you will see. This is the full calendar. This is what it's going to look like for the whoever you share it with. But you can see the web address at the top. It's outlook.office.com/bookwithme/me. That's the web address you would go to. And I do have that link in your handout to get to it so you can see yours. But when I'm in here, it's a little bit different, of course, for the end user that I share it with because they won't see share. But when I'm looking at this, I can go to this menu, the ... And from here, I could edit the banner image at the top. I can do that back in the Bookings app, but I could also do it here. So if I don't want these pencils, I could click Edit Banner Image, and I can choose one of these other images. But as of right now, these are the only images we have available. This is going to change. You will be able to choose your own eventually. I don't know for sure when that's being released. There are some major changes coming in 2025 to, of course, all your different 365 apps, but there are some changes, some improvements coming, and this is going to be one of them coming to Bookings. I don't care for a lot of these, so it's really kind of, I wish I could select something else, but just so you could see, I clicked on this one of these buildings. I'm just going to close this window, and it has updated that. So that's what everybody sees when they come into your Bookings page. Now, I do have the share capabilities, same things you saw previously, just so you're aware. I love having it on my email signature, by the way, because everybody has it all the time then. Because I want it to be public. Whoever I'm communicating with, if they want to book time with me, I want them to be able to do so. I don't want to have to spend time going through my calendar and saying, okay, on the 24th, I'm open from 1 to 1:30. On this day, I'm open from 2 to 4. I wasted so much time in my life doing that. So I'm just so thankful we have this. So anyway, that's one part of using Bookings. So I'm going to close this window and this one because this was the one for the customer. Oh, and by the way, when that person, student one, was who I went through, they can always go to the email that they received to say that it's booked. They could go into the actual appointment on their calendar for this, and they can go into reschedule, cancel, or do a new meeting. They will actually have access to that. But anyway, back to Microsoft Bookings. Also in your handout is going to be creating the public, which are the shared booking pages. This is a little bit more than your personal. Personal is what you definitely want to start with. Kind of get that figured out because then the rest of this will be a little bit easier. But I'm going to show you an existing one first. I have one here called Kayak. Stand-up paddleboard canoe rental. And I'm going to click on this one to open it. I've got a couple of other ones created as well. But these are going to be ones that you could set up for your entire HR department, your entire marketing department, your entire whatever department. Somebody wants to schedule time with, your sales department. Whatever it might be for your organization, you would create a new one and fill in the information about your company, about what this is for. Let me show you on the left-hand side. So this is a lot more advanced than what you saw on your personal, because that's just for you, booking time with you directly. This can have multiple people that they could book with. So we can have other staff members, like other people within your department that they could book time with. So they could choose who's ever available or choose a specific staff member. So on the left-hand side, right now I'm on calendar, but I want to actually go straight, and this is kind of my habits. Every time I create a new one, I go into business information first because it needs to know about the business. So what are you going to name it? And what are going to be and I'm going to go into this basic details here. So I'm going to click on this down arrow. This is where you enter in the name of it. You enter in an address for this, a telephone number, an email address. If it has a URL, you could enter that. This one does show currency on it. You could see that you could have this is how much it cost, currency. You can even enter in policies and procedures. Policies and terms. So if they book time with you, this is kind of that fine print. So you can have that be entered in. So anyway, just so you're aware of that. That's kind of a more advanced feature for today. But also you will want to have a logo, have an image that they can see that helps them to know that they're in that. Whether it's your company logo or it's going to be a special one just for this, the sales department of your company, whatever the case might be. Have a logo. And you want to put in your business hours. So you can expand out each of these categories to be adding in the different details. So you can put in the hours. Of course, these are the defaults. I haven't gone in and changed these. Well, technically, I think 8 to 5 was the default. I went in and changed these for this particular bookings page. But down at the bottom, we've got different app integration. I do have a little bit more than some of you might be seeing because I have I'm part of a testing on a couple of different things. But anyway, just so you could see, you want to come in and fill in the details, get that saved. So there's a save icon up at the top. Then you could go to the other categories on the left-hand side and start filling them in. First thing is the business information. Second is your services. So what services are you going to be offering that people can book? I have several services added in because they can rent a 12-foot paddleboard for 4 hours, or they can rent it for 12 hours, whatever the case is. How do you add your services in? At the top, you click Add New Service. Then you fill in the basic details. So you give the service a name. So let's say that I want to be adding in sales, well, maybe I would say introduction meeting. Oops, I didn't spell that correctly. Let me get that spelled right. Introduction meeting. And you would put in a description. You can put in a location. The online meeting is your choice because it could be a face-to-face meeting that they're creating, but most of them are going to be probably online. Just so you could see. And you could say, what is the duration for this specific introduction meeting? How many days, how many hours, how many minutes? I'm going to say it's going to be a 30-minute. Do you want to add in buffer time? And do you want to set a price? The maximum number of attendees. So can they have other people attend? So one or more people could book that same time period for that same feature. Usually it's going to be a one-on-one, but just so you know, you could. When you're done, you're going to save the changes. Once you have these changes saved, it will be part of the list of everything that you want to be putting in for that specific service. So I'm going to discard these changes because I don't really want to add it to this one, just so you could see how you could do that. So you're going to create all your different services. Once again, we're not going to share this till we have everything set up and ready to go. Now, also on the left-hand side, once you're done filling in your services, you could add in staff members. If you go to staff, what this allows you to do, you will be added by default as the administrator of this bookings page because you created it. And this is something that can be shared with anybody, anyone, public. Up at the top of this pane of the window, you would click Add New Staff. You can then choose who do you want to have added in. So if I want to add in my coworker, Student 1, I can put in Student 1. They can have a different color. So you can see all these different colors you could be choosing from. It's going to automatically populate their email address. You could put in a phone number. It says team member, so this person is being added in as a team member for this specific bookings page. So in this case, it's the kayak stand-up paddleboard and canoe rental. Notify the staff member should stay checked because you want to notify them that they've actually been assigned to something. So when a booking assigned to them is created or changed, we want them to get notified personally. And you could see availability. Events on office calendar affects availability. We want that checked because it's going to look at their Outlook calendar. So we need to make sure that people are updating their calendars appropriate. So if they already had a meeting from 9 to 11, somebody can't go in and schedule 9 a.m. meeting with them on whatever day. We want to make sure that we have the business hours for that specific user. So what kind of hours does that person have? When you're done, you're going to click Save Changes. So we really want to go to the categories on the left-hand side to get things set up. When we are adding staff in, we can choose who the staff member is related to the service. So if I go back to service, and just so you could see, when I was adding in a new service, when I put in the service name, the description and stuff, I was on the basic details. So if I go into add new service, I put in the basic details. On the left-hand side, I can go into availability options. I can go into assign staff. So once you have your staff members set up, you could say that for this appointment, this service type, they can book with student 1. Or we could say they could book with anybody. But you could choose if there's a specific person. I always use HR for the example for this because if you think about an HR department, is there specific people that would help them with their life insurance, health insurance, whatever the case might be? We can choose which staff member to assign to that. So they could see that. But anyway, it could be multiples because it could be one of these people who's ever available. It would go to them. So maybe student 1 and Jolene are the people that would handle that type of a service. We could choose multiples. And just so you know, on the left-hand side, a little bit more advanced for today, I won't spend much time on this, but it's going to automatically allow you to have required information when they book something with you. So if we want to require that they have an email, they enter in a phone number and an address, they enter in customer notes to describe what they're wanting to meet about. You can even create custom fields. So if you had another field of information that you wanted to capture, like if it's HR, for me, maybe I need to know if they're a part-time or full-time employee. Or if we have multiple divisions. Are they part of this part of the company, what department are they in, whatever your case might be, technically you could create custom fields for that. I have some of my bookings page that have that. But anyway, just so you could see, you can add in, and here's some custom fields that I created. A delivery location for the equipment to be delivered, if they needed a paddle, do they need life jackets, those types of things, just so you're aware of what those could be used for. Now, I'm not really going to keep all of this. I'm going to close that. But, one more thing on the left-hand side, just so you know, notifications. This is just like the notifications with your personal bookings. So you can have an email reminder go to them. It is telling me I have to save those other changes here first. But if I want to add in an email reminder, how soon do I want them to be reminded? So I want them to be reminded 2 hours before it. And here's the message that they're going to get. And I would click save. I'm going to discard that changes, but just so you could see, you could set up a reminder for after the meeting as well. Great features. So kind of especially for this, don't go live until you have all your services created. you can always go back and edit a service. Whichever service you click on from your list, on the right-hand side, you can see the details of that service. And from here, you could click Edit Service. So that will take us back in. Or up at the top, this is going to be the overview. We have service details, we have calendar and availability, and we have staff. Just so you could see, I don't have any staff members assigned to that specific one. I don't have staff members assigned to any of these except for the one I just edited with student 1 and Jolynn. But just so you could see, you could drill in and see details by going to the specific tab at the top. But if you want to change anything, go to Edit Service. Okay? By the way, it's doing one-on-one because it's just one person. If I had said 5 different people could attend this service that I'm entering, then it would say 5. And I have 2 people of 5 total that can attend. So just so you could see what that meant. But otherwise, back to the left-hand side for a second, the bookings page. This is where you can go to actually save it, or I should say share it with others. You can grab embed, where I can embed this on my website. So if you just want to make a copy of the link for this service, this whole calendar, this whole page, it's called Booking Pages, I would click the icon for copy, and then I could go and paste the link wherever I want it to go. If I want to email it to someone, I would choose email, and I'm going to email it. Just so you know, I'm going to email it to my student 1, and it's automatically saying you can book online, and it's giving them a link to get into it, but you, of course, could add to that as needed. I'm going to click Send. The other option that you have is Embedded. If you choose Embedded, you can copy this, either the link or the iframe. I'm sorry, it's an L-frame, Jolynn. You can copy this, just click Copy, and it will copy it into your clipboard. Go to your website, add in where you can embed it, whether it's to an object or whatever, and then you can paste the code so that that code can be available for them to just click to book time with you. And then they can see all the availability. And let me show you on the back end what that's going to look like. I'm going to jump back into my student 1, and here's the email that they just received. So let me open this so you can see the end result of what it's going to look like. So this is what they're going to see when they come in, where they're going to be able to choose which service they want. So if I choose this one, I can then see when that service is available, and it does depend on who the person is, like I said. So once again, it will only show their available times for that specific service. So if I choose this service, it will show me multiple times. So this is a 4-hour increment, and the calendar is 8 hours. So they can either choose 8 a.m. or they can choose noon. So if I choose noon, down at the bottom, it's required for them to put in their email address. It doesn't automatically know who they are. Oh, yeah, student 1 at virtual training, just so you can see the full gist of how this works.
Just one. That's right. Okay.
I could put in an address. I don't have to. It's not required. I could put in any notes. I could add in the information like the delivery location, all of that. When I'm done, I just click book. Now, I have some missing information. I'm not going to fill all that out, but just so you could see, this is what they will end up doing. So it looks a little bit different, not much, from what we saw before. But the best part is, back into the app called Bookings. So if I go back to my bookings itself, back to all my bookings here, when I came in and first started with this application and showed you, this top piece is just for you. The shared booking pages is something that you can set up for different departments within your organization. I want this to be for vendors because vendors are going to schedule time like this with these services. But for my HR department, they're going to schedule these types of services. So you could have multiples. How do you set up your own? Because I showed you an existing one. Go to the right-hand side, click Create Booking Page. It's going to get you started with either making a copy of an existing one or starting from scratch. I'm going to say I want to start from scratch. You have to give it a name. You could add a logo right now, but sometimes I wait because I may not have all of that. So you want to choose a business type as well. And it's got all these different categories you could choose from. So let's say I'm in sales, and this is going to be for the ABC company sales department. Then I'm going to click next on the wizard, and I can come in and I could invite staff, but I don't have to. I could do that after the fact. I could start setting up services, but I don't have to. I can click next through all of this. And it's going to create the booking page so that now you can go in and start adding in all the details. Make sure that for this particular bookings page, you have the correct time frames, the business time set up, because if your company opens at 7, but you don't want people to start booking until 8, make sure that you're doing that. So I'm going to click Get Started. And it will take me into it. Otherwise, of course, it will be in my list and I could get started that way. So kind of go through the left-hand side, enter in the details as needed. You can even keep track of customers. So if you want to keep track of customers for this bookings page, you can have customers in here. By the way, once they become a customer, they're going to be added. But if you want to add people in, you can just come in and say add new customer and put in their details and then save the changes. But make sure you're setting up your business information. You go through all the different categories. Then make sure that you're going into the staff if you're going to have multiple people. Get those all set up. Create your services, because by the way, I do my staff first, because then when you go to create your services, you can assign the correct staff members to that service. Then the calendar will show any of the availability or the scheduled meetings, but if it was scheduled with me, by the way, it comes to my Outlook, to my email to notify me, and it's going to be added directly to my Outlook calendar, just so you're aware. And if somebody books time with you, whether it's the personal or through these multiple choice options, if they book time with you, you can go back and make changes to it. So if something else comes up and you need to reschedule or cancel that meeting with that person, you can do it, and so can they. Because it's their meeting, either one of you has the capability of going back and saying, I can't make it or I need to reschedule. Okay? Cancel or reschedule. Just so you're aware. So let me click at the top left. I'm going to click back to all bookings page again. And you can see now this ABC company sales has been added. And each one of these in my calendar says administrator. If I am a member, because I was added as a staff, it's going to show up here, but it's going to say staff. Member. I'm sorry, it says member, not staff. But I'm the administrator, so it says administrator on top of each of these. But some of them I might be an administrator. Some of these I might be a staff member. Either way, you will have access to it. So the first thing to kind of think about is your personal bookings page. That is the one that you'll probably want to start using right away. You can then share it with potential customers, existing customers, vendors, whoever needs to be able to book time with you, that they're outside of your company. They don't have access to your domain, so they don't know if you're available or not. And then the shared booking pages, is you can set up separate pages for different groups of services, whether it's HR, it's the sales department, whatever the case would be. I hope that makes sense on the difference between the two. At first I was like, it kind of took me a little bit to kind of have it all truly be understood. But I did give you some suggestions. That slide that I showed you, I gave you those in your handout, as well as all the details and step-by-step instructions on how to go back and add these things in. How do you create your personal? How do you share it? Those kind of things. I got to tell you, this has saved me so much time and headaches, especially the personal bookings page. I use that all the time. I only have one true active, which is this kayak canoe rental one. The other of these are not active. These are just things that I've done during training. But I definitely use my personal bookings page all the time. And Matthew, I know that you have actually used my personal bookings page. So if we come back and talk to you here, what did you think about how easy was it for you to book time with me?
I mean, I not only have used your bookings page, I've created some for myself and for my managers, and for different events. I create them. I use them all the time. And I mean, just getting rid of those long email chains back and forth, offering those time slots. Oh my gosh. It's
20 emails later.
Yeah.
It is a game changer. That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. So definitely something that I think it's the easiest fix to a super common problem, to spend more time on things that really matter.
Yes.
I mean, make your meetings longer with the amount of time you're saving with this application,
Absolutely. And as you can see, it's not hard to set up. Once you've kind of entered the first one, duplicate it.
Yep. Yeah. It's easy as that. You can also set up multiple different meetings for one account.
Right.
So whatever people can kind of navigate. It's kind of just a personal triaging thing.
It is.
But if anyone has any questions, now would be the time. Pop those into the Q&A, or feel free to turn on your microphone and ask those questions directly. But if not, I'm sorry, just seeing something and not seeing the handout. Okay, so we'll pop the handout back in the chat for you there.
Yes.
But if there are no further questions, we will wrap it up for today. So thank you so much, Jolynn, for such a great session. I think this is such a helpful tool for so many people.
Yes.
For any training-related questions, please feel free to reach out to us at training@smartdolphins.com and visit our website to catch up on our upcoming events. For any other business inquiries, please contact us at info@smartdolphins.com. We'd really appreciate it if you could take a moment to leave us a review on Google, whether that's for the webinar or your experience with us. It's a huge help. Simply click the link in the chat to access our review page. Your support helps us reach more people and empower them with the tools they need. Thank you again for joining us today. Here's a quick reminder of our upcoming events. We're breaking for the holidays after today, so happy holidays to everyone.
Yes.
On January 9th, we're going to be doing data analysis in Excel for accountants. January 16th, we're doing Microsoft What's Happened and What's Coming. January 23rd, we're doing SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams. Please visit our website for details and registration. However, I will once again note we still have some updating to do for the events on our website, but we will email you at the beginning of the month just to remind you if you are on our events list. If you are not, go to our website, subscribe to that list, and check our website for upcoming events. Thanks again, everyone, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you.
Happy holidays, guys. Thank you, everyone.